Well, what would you do if the love of your life was told he might not survive? Most people would prepare to say goodbye. Diane and Charles, they packed their bags and decided to live. In this week's episode of Limitless and Midlife, I sit down with the incredible Diane Woodford, author, podcast host, and the woman behind a love story that defied all odds. We talk about healing, miracles, choosing love over fear, and what it means to truly bloom where you're planted. This one will stay with you. So, welcome, Diane.
Well, welcome, Sally. Thank you. Thank you. Wow. Thank
Thank you
you.
for joining us today. And for those of you that haven't met me before, I'm Sally Arkell-Bowles, the founder of Sovereign Soul Mastery for women in Midlife Plus, where legacy meets luxury and leadership meets embodiment. And today I'm so excited for you to meet Diane because she and Charles have created the most amazing stories over the last, I'd say, 5 to 10 years. And since we known each other, we've connected in so many different ways. And today, you get to hear a story that most people would never have been able to choose or to travel. So, Diane, as I started, you've lived such a beautifully multifaceted life as a critical care nurse, clinical professor, a speaker, an author, podcast host, and now a world traveler. So, what part of your past do you think most prepared you for the chapter that you're in now?
My parents, my parents,
Mhm.
my mom and dad. And I say that because at a very young age, they spoke life and adventure into me.
Mhm.
They spoke um, that all things were possible, and they both lived it. Like they lived their best lives. Not to say that life didn't give them bumps, but they were both so resilient and they were both true to their calling and purpose. My dad was a truck driver. So, he traveled
Yeah.
and he spoke that into my life as a small child. He says to my mom, "This one will travel the world." And I mean, that he spoke it into my soul. Yeah.
That's incredible. And here it is. Oh, just gave me shivers. I got goosies. But that, it really hits home because it's
Yeah.
exactly how you've chosen to live your life. And you've done a lot of things outside of the ordinary from what other people have done. And so, how did your background in nursing and education shape the way that you approach Charles' diagnosis and recovery journey?
Wow. Okay. So, mm, my background in nursing allowed me to have the knowledge base to be able to effectively advocate for Charles.
Mhm.
My experience in nursing allowed me to have the karma to bring the light that I would need to gain strength. So, as a critical care nurse, every last one of my patients had value, whether I seen them as like a good neighbor, a family member, a friend, whatever. I made sure that my patients got excellent care. And I even went beyond to that caregiver because I knew that caregiver stress was real. So even when I did
Mhm.
my thesis in nursing school, it was on caregiver stress. So the research and things I did with that just led me to the path of just knowing not only take care of your patient, but you take care of their family member as well, because that takes stress
Mhm.
off the patient because the patient can feel their stress, their angst, their fears and all of that. And then that has an impact on the healing process with the patient. So, you know how they say a happy wife, happy life? I say a happy family member, right? Will get your
Mhm.
patient back to health quicker. you know? And so that is the path, the trail that I set. And as a result of that, when I went into that battle with Charles, being at the bedside, um, it allowed me to have the right people come and shine with me in the battle because I was deep in battle. I was kept away for almost 3 weeks. And in that time, he was severely neglected, malnourished, and it was heartbreaking. When I got to that bedside, all I could say was divine intervention helped me up because I knew it wasn't myself. Because, I have pictures, and even when I can't even stand to look at the pictures hardly. So I know that it had to be something greater, bigger than me, give me the strength to stand there and to advocate for him and to get him out. But here's the key. It had to be done in love. The anger, the hurt, the pain I was feeling, I absolutely could not act on it. And my experience as a nurse taught me that as well, because I knew that if I acted a fool, then I was going to be separated from him even more.
Yeah.
So I had to stand my ground in love.
So now that's just beautiful because most of us will get very uptight as a caregiver. It's very scary for a lot of caregivers because, especially if it's a spouse where you know that that person may not come home, and there's all of that anxiety that shows up. And I know I saw that in my parents when my dad was watching my mom deteriorate, right? And how tough it was for him, and so on. And I've seen it over and over again because we've lost all four parents, my husband's family and mine. But maybe you can give us a little bit more understanding about what the journey was and the diagnosis that they had given Charles as far as would he make it? Would he not? And then
Right.
we can dig in a little bit further because that story is so powerful.
Absolutely. So the diagnosis was um, hypoxia. But the way that they told me was COVID, because at that time it was during the COVID crisis. So he was given the diagnosis of COVID verbally, but on his chart it was hypoxia, um, which is lack of oxygen because he had pneumonia, right?
Oh,
Um, so being placed on that COVID protocol put him in this population of demise. I don't know how else to say it because especially he was 78 years old. So, just he was very, very high risk, right? And what that did is it kept me away from him. It kept him hospitalized for a total of 80 days. Okay.
wow.
Um, they placed him on a vent on day 8. I laid eyes on him physically, not virtually through the screens on day, I think 17, and on day 21, I was allowed visitation. And so by that time, it was like that man that was in the bed, it was a shell of my husband.
Yes.
And it was so difficult because he's my rock, you
Right.
know, just like when I think of Charles, anyone, you think of strength, the most healthiest guy you ever want to meet. No prescription medications, no past medical history. And it was a journey because there was medical bullying. There was
Wow.
things just pushed upon. There was um, death spoken over him before I got to that bedside. And he remembers. He remembers them saying, "Oh, he's not going to make it." I mean, think about that for a minute. How would you feel if you're in this hospital in this strange place because we were traveling? We're in Beaufort, South Carolina, so that wasn't home. And your wife is not near, and you're just with these people. And the people that are around you are talking about how you're going to die and how he ain't going to make it. And even in a coma, they, oh, this is
Of
the
course I can
worst.
hear.
And
Mhm.
just really spoke all of that. So yeah, it was a fight. I say all of that to say we were in for a battle. Yeah.
Mhm. Yes, you were. And so what's really interesting for me is in this journey, um, there were so many insights that you and Charles both determined, but it was your strength and your love on not letting you give up, not wanting to breathe those words into him that his life was over, but that he could definitely come back and thrive and survive, and you would be there with him. And so, your latest book, Aftercare, it explores the emotional and the spiritual journey that both you and Charles walked through after this so called terminal illness and diagnosis. So, what inspired you to document and share this so publicly?
Okay, so it goes back to you asked about my nursing experience, right?
Mhm.
Because I had the knowledge base, it was so helpful because I knew the things to do. The book was multifaceted. The book was the evidence of healing because
Mhm.
it was 2 years before I could write the book. Because I'm gonna tell you, he came out known as the Miracle Man by all the staff. He was
Mhm.
released from the ICU directly home, no rehab, no intermediate care, home. And that was mainly because of me, because they did suggest it, and I said, "Not even, not
Mhm.
even. That's not gonna happen." And I was very adamant about no. And then they tried to bully me into it, but it was absolutely not. No,
Mhm.
he's coming home.
Yeah.
Um, so the book was the confirmation that we were truly in that season of healing and thriving
Mhm.
because I was able to write it from a place of love and I was able to give back to people that may experience something similar, to give them
Mhm.
something to read, to let them know that there is peace, to let them know that there's things that you can do. I talked about how I wrote to the hospital COO. I
Mhm.
talked about how I had the challenges with the medical staff. You're in charge. Even though they'll try to make it seem the other way, you are in charge. Your yay is your yay, your nay is your nay,
Yeah.
right? And when they wanted to put a tracheostomy in him, I was adamant about them waking him up. There's no medical rationale for why they wouldn't wake him up off that
Mhm.
vent for trials. It's like they were just trying to sedate him to death. And so it's like, will you wake them up? And they were like, well, no, we don't think it's safe or whatever. And they're talking to me, a critical care nurse. That made no sense at all. Absolutely none at all. Right.
Mhm.
So what happened? We had a standoff. I said, I will absolutely not sign that consent for you to treat my husband until you wake him up. I will look in his eyes and make sure he's still there before you take him deeper in sedation.
Mhm.
What do you think they did? They woke him up and I saw that he was there.
Yeah.
But it's like you, as the family member, you have the power. You don't have to
Mhm.
get upset. You don't have to scream and holler. You just don't sign. They need your permission. They can't do it without
Mhm.
with your permission. And they know that. And so a lot of times there's manipulation or fear put in
Mhm.
place to get that because they can't do it without your permission,
Yeah.
right? And so for me, aftercare was my gift back to the world in love for all that are suffering, maybe caregivers, people that have went through trauma,
Mhm.
just marriages, it's an inspiration. And the thing of it is that really to me makes it the best because it's not only told in my voice, it's told in the voice of myself, of nurses that took care of him, of family members that witnessed it,
Mhm.
from our children, at the end, we have people, just giving their voice to it.
Uh-huh.
So yeah.
That's awesome. I mean, and I think that there's so many people that feel powerless in the face of a health crisis. Not only the patient, but the family and the surrounding people around them. And, at a time like that where everything was shut down as well, and you're not allowed access to your loved one, what can happen that we
Right.
don't approve, right? That we don't know of. And luckily for Charles, I mean, you being a nurse and had been so much background in knowing that I needed to see his eyes.
Oh
I
yeah.
needed to see if he was still present. And
Oh
he
yeah.
was. And so that role that you were playing, not only with that support that you were giving and saying and being very adamant about what you were expecting them to do, and
Mhm.
because of your medical history, beautiful, love it. Good on you, Diane. There's a reason why you've been in that career all your life. Um,
Yeah.
but the role of that love and the mindset and the faith played in navigating that season for both of you.
Yeah.
What role, were you finding from a faith perspective that really helped to bring Charles back to life?
Well, first of all, being able to know that I know that I know that we're going to walk out. Because when I got quiet and meditated, the download that came to me was Charles is coming home.
Mm-hmm.
So that was like in the very beginning of it. So I said, coming home to me or coming home to you, like coming back here, I asked specifically because I needed to know. I needed to know. And it was like, Charles is coming home. Charles is coming home. It was downloaded to me very early on, even before I could get in the hospital and see Charles, that he was coming home. He was coming home with no oxygen. He was coming home with no prescription. Charles was coming home. Like, I'm going to bring him back out of there.
Mm-hmm.
He's coming home. Right. So when I knew that, that was something that my faith just attached to that spiritual
Mm-hmm.
message. And regardless of what I saw, and Lord have mercy, I saw a lot.
Yes, I'm
I
sure.
held on to that, regardless of how they were trying to tell me it's not looking good.
Wow.
We really don't think he's going to, come through this. Oh, he's going to need oxygen for the rest of his life. Oh, just all of these things. Regardless of all of that, I just held on to it. Even the nurses that were with me in the beginning, kind of, what do you say, tag teaming on my faith. For him, like, yeah, they were cheering. When he got intubated, I saw that hope suck out of them because they
Mm-hmm.
had seen it. So they saw how that went, how that story played out so much that they were just going by their experience.
Mm-hmm.
And so they were even like, you know what this means, right? And I said, yeah, he coming home, and it was just a lot of times I was looked upon as just that wife who just could not uh, handle reality. Like she's just not ready to accept. And I was not. And I never would
No.
be ready to accept that because I know what I knew. And we
Mm-hmm.
went home and we did.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I love that because it does take a lot of faith to, in every single moment of the day, when your loved one is in that state.
Absolutely.
And,
Absolutely.
you know, recently, within the last few years, my in-laws have both passed away, and my mother-in-law was passing away, and they had her in ICU at one point. Called all the family in and the priest in, and did their thing. And 2 days later, she's back on the ward.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
It's
So it's like, you know, the the energy that we were bringing to her brought her back
yeah.
for, a certain period of time afterwards. But it's very interesting if they're also feeling that energy and that healing coming from the person or the people that mean the most to them.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It can make such a difference from an energetic
So
perspective.
much. So much. And I, before they intubated him, I was guided, just to ask for a video call So I did a video call. They were going to tell me after. I knew that in my spirit. I
Yeah.
knew they were going to intubate and tell me after. But spirit would not allow that to happen. And what
Mhm.
happened was I saw him before and I saw he was not in distress. So as a critical care nurse, I'm like, why are we giving him an artificial airway? He's not in distress. He's not, what are you doing? I did question that doctor. I questioned her ethics. She could not answer me. I did not scream at her. And it's not for me to judge her because, like I said early on, my karma helped to get me
Mhm.
through and bring the light. And so it's like whatever you are reaping, you will sow. So, and that's
Mhm.
not mine. I don't need to know anything about that. But what I did do was I looked at him and I was like, Charles, hang in there. I said, I don't agree with what they're about to do with you, but you stay strong, Charles. You hold on. I'll be here when you get back. I
Mhm.
said, I'll be here when you get back. You remember that, okay?
Yeah.
And he, and he gave me a thumbs up. And next time I video saw him later, a few hours
Mhm.
later, he was intubated and it just almost took my life.
Mhm.
Like when I looked at him
Right.
and all I could do was just speak. I said, I am here. God is with you. Stay strong. Hold on. Don't give up. And
Mhm.
every single day while he was under, I had them put me next to, and I spoke to him. I said, hey, I'm here. I love you. Stay
Mhm.
strong. I screenshot those calls where you could just see my face here, you see him there. And I don't know what it will be, but I do know that, it'll be something and we'll see.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. So now, how did you stay personally grounded in love, especially when that fear or uncertainty shows up? Because that's the biggest piece, right? We love them so much, but how do we personally stay grounded in that?
I think honestly, that is when the intrinsic neuroscience of all that is God kicks in. I feel like that is where that peace beyond understanding, that mother that lifts that car off her child, that, that supernatural strength kicks in. It's like you can't call it into play and you have no control over it. But at that exact moment that you need it, bam, here it comes. And that is what it was. It was no person, it was not me. It was something that was greater than me. And it's just like I could feel it. I felt like I was in this warm hug, right?
Yep.
And it held me. Now, I wasn't walking around in a bubble. Do you understand? So I
I
want to just
understand. Yeah.
make it clear. But it was when I was getting ready to go off the rails, that's when I could feel it, right?
Mhm.
And I tell people, there was this artist, and he's a rapper, and his name is DMX, and he had this song out, and it's like y'all gonna make me lose my mind,
All right. Yeah. I know it's all.
and I would hear that in my left ear, and then in my right ear, I would hear like this gospel song, stand. So after you done all you can, you just stand, right? And it vacillated. I'm telling you, it wasn't like I was just sitting there all in love. DMX played a lot in his ear, but I was able to stay grounded with it. And that's the important thing because it really wasn't all one way or the other is an emotional roller coaster, Sally. And I think it's
Yes.
important here to just say that every day that I left that bedside, I cried for 5 to 10 minutes in the
Mhm.
car before I could even drive home.
Yeah.
So I was blown to ashes, but
Mhm.
I was strong. I was still going, but on the inside, And had I stopped, had I started crying, had I went off, I think it would have just been an explosion. And so
Mhm.
I'm grateful for that divine, intrinsic hug
Mhm.
that just
Yeah.
kept me. Yeah.
Beautiful. So now for anyone else that might be facing a health scare like this or supporting someone who is, what's one small shift that they can make today that can help them to begin to turn fear into that peace?
Whew.
A big question.
Breathe,
Faith.
breathe,
Mhm.
breathe. Just stop and breathe. Give yourself grace. Take care of you. Because when I tell you you cannot pour from an empty cup, you
Mhm.
can't. I need you to hear me really good out there. When you are out of balance, out of alignment, tired, stressed, just whirling out, you are easy to manipulate. You are
Mhm.
easy to get scared. You're easy to make impulsive decisions that you can't reverse,
Mhm.
that you can't reverse. Because what I'm saying is it's easy to sign and let them put your loved one on an event, to okay that even though I didn't, they just did. But as in my story, trying to get them off is a whole nother thing. So you must take care of yourself.
Yes.
And, it's like this: pause, reset, and love.
Mhm.
Those are three things. And I am so adamant about that I even put a meditation. It's like a 40-day meditation that's less than 2 minutes and that anybody can do. And
Mhm.
it's pause, love, and reset. And it, of course, is free. And you just go through it every single day. And everyone that I've spoken to just said, wow. Even Charles and I did it because it resets your nervous system.
Mhm.
It only takes just a little bit to do that. So there's power in the pause.
Mhm.
If you pause, then you're able to make power pivot moves. But it starts with the pause. And I will say this: I never stayed overnight with Charles. I stayed sometimes 12, 14 hours in a day, but I always went home, showered, laid flat, and went to sleep because I was in a battle. And had
Yeah.
I stayed there, it probably would have went a different way because I would have just been pure exhausted.
Mhm.
To pause and reset.
Beautiful. So now, before I go into what's next and what you're doing right now, as the Wumple Queen, um, how many years has it been since Charles' recovery?
Hmm. Wow. So we're going into year 5.
Year
We're going
five.
into 5, which is
Beautiful.
grace. 5 is grace. We're going into year 5, and
5 years
yeah,
that other people said he wouldn't even be here.
yeah, absolutely,
Right?
absolutely.
That's the beauty of it.
Oh
That's the
yeah,
beauty of it.
oh yeah.
So I just got to pop in quickly because if you're really enjoying this conversation and you want to hear more from Diane or from other guests that we have here on Limitless and Midlife, please make sure to hit the subscribe, the share, and follow. Because there definitely is so many great guests that we have here of people that in midlife are experiencing the same things that we're all facing. If we haven't faced it already, we probably know somebody that has. So I really appreciate it if you could just hit that subscribe button so that you can be here for beautiful guests like Diane again in the future. So, your new title, Code the Queen. Can you share what that word means to you and how it reflects the way that you and Charles are now living?
Absolutely. So it was, first of all, given to me by Anka. You know Anka. She's a
Mm-hmm.
mutual friend of ours. And what I'm gonna just give my definition to Kariwampo, and I'm gonna say that it's a real word. You can look it up.
Mhm.
My definition for Kariwampo is to travel with purpose, with not knowing where you'll land.
Mhm.
So you travel with a purpose, for a purpose, to an unknown destination. So we travel with the purpose. Our purpose is to spread love with the purpose to answer that love assignment. And you never know where we'll land.
Beautiful. And I know that you're known as One Love. Your podcast is One Love Podcast, so make sure you follow that as well. Have you changed it?
No, it's love drops.
Oh, Love Drops. How
One love is my tagline.
I was gonna say, I know One Love.
Oh yeah, one
Love.
love, one
And
love.
so you will see Diane and Charles if you follow Diane on LinkedIn, especially. That's where I know she is all the time. I believe you also have a YouTube channel,
Yes, and a website.
your website. So we'll make sure that you have access to all of those. But they have been on the road, traveling not only through North America, but globally, spreading love. And it's just very fun for us to be able to watch that. And like she says, they go one place and then they just don't even know where the next stop is going to be. They plan it on the fly and off they go. And the experiences and the people that they're meeting have just been absolutely incredible. So make sure you follow her journeys because it's just so much fun.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, for sure. Yes, yes,
So,
yes, yes.
Dawn, you've also authored 2 books. You're a co-host of a podcast. You speak globally. So, what is your message that you hope most people will carry forward after hearing your story?
Go for it. Go for it. Don't wait for the ducks to get in a row. Go for it. For anybody's listening, that is connected to me, my family, no, you guys, we didn't hit the lottery. We just chose to live fully because it's just like people see us hit it and they're like, well, how are you doing it? The way that we're doing it is we just go for it. We follow the call, the moves. In the last 9 months, we said yes to Portugal and Paris in 2024. And we were out of the country for about 80 plus days. We came back for a few months and we hit it again. We went to the UK, to Ireland, um, back to France, to Spain, and we traveled. We said yeah. We said yeah without an agenda, without trying to, just put the ducks in a row. And as a result, we did international speaking. We met a host of amazing people. We backpacked with our Cotopaxi bags. We carried our bags on our back. And I want to just say we've switched out. We've just upgraded. We got some nice roll-ons. So
Oh,
we're
wow, that's a
we're
big
ready
deal.
to go. We're ready to go. We're ready to go. So
Awesome. Awesome. Well, I'm so excited whenever I see any of your posts about the travels that you do. And it's like, how many of us wait for that perfect time and miss out on the exploring the world? I mean, for all I know, at this particular point in time in this life that I'm experiencing right now, I'm here for this life to experience life. So why would I wait when I can take that opportunity? And I love that you and Charles have
Absolutely.
really stepped that up since he's
Oh yeah.
recovered.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I was gonna say, Sally, the one thing is we had lived a full life before Charles was hospitalized. I mean, he was hospitalized in the middle of a full adventure, right?
Yes.
And the one thing that we hadn't done was made it to Paris yet. So, in the recovery talking was like, when we get to Paris, we're gonna get to Paris. And that happened. It's like life is not promised in a blink of an eye. Please hear me. In the blink of an eye.
Yeah.
In the blink of an eye, your life could change dramatically. And no, that's not all bad. It can change to the most wonderful thing. We saw it both ways. In a blink of an eye, we've seen life change in the most fearful way ever. But then again, in a blink of an eye, we saw life change in the most beautiful way ever.
Love it.
In the blink of an eye. So go for it. Go for it. Go do that. Yeah.
I love that. So now the last question I have is, if your heart could leave a love note to the world, what would
Mhm.
it say?
Love deeply, love fully, love unconditionally, love without judgment, love to meet love wherever that love is, and love unapologetically. One love.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for joining us today. You know, I always enjoy every conversation that we have, and it's just been a beautiful session today. Really getting to know a little bit more in depth about the emotional aspects of your journey with Charles, the love of your life, as well as how you advocated for him. And that's such a strong message for so many women and men going through this stage in our lives, or in any stage in life it can happen. But when it's something like that, that you know that you can find an advocate for, if you're not the advocate yourself, you could find people that can advocate for you.
Yeah.
Please, please make sure you do, because there's nothing more special than the love that you share with the person that you love.
Yes.
Thank you for joining us today. And if you like this, like I said before, please make sure you hit that subscribe and follow button. And we'll see you next week.
Bye. Thank you.